When I joined the practice back in August of this year, there was one bit that didn't quite sit right with me, and that was the fact that we were on EMIS and every other practice was on System 1. So we are one of 5 practices within our PCN, they're all on System 1, and likewise, all the other allied health care professionals, all the other extra services are on this different system. And I rocked up and sort of went, well, why aren't we looking to change across? And there was clear resistance and hesitancy to do it. And I took a step back and sort of went, well, I appreciate I'm the new one in. Do you want me to lead on changing this over? And they went, yes, Dave, please take it over. It was an interesting fact that I thought, this is a massive change. I want to get it right. So I reached out to our local hospital and they had their quality improvement cell or their improvement team. And I said to them, look, I've got this huge change. Could you help? And they bit my hand off and said, yes, of course. So they put me on this day course. And I just want to share some tips and hints that I got from them that were really, really useful. The first one to think about is the change formula, which I'd never really heard of before. And that's a simple formula that actually your dissatisfaction multiplied by your vision, multiplied by first steps, those combination must be greater than resistance. So in our case, the dissatisfaction of the system was there to some, but not really that high, multiplied by vision. And I think it's the vision that was not lacking, but no one really wanted to take ownership of this quite large task. And so because there wasn't that there, they were all a bit like, well, I don't know what to do. Multiplied by first steps. Well, everyone knew what the first steps would be. It would be to literally just send an email saying, yes, we want to change over, let's pick a date. Okay, so I can see that when I rocked up, because I was heavily dissatisfied with this, and I was willing to take the ownership and leadership on it, that automatically upped that side of the ratio and sort of pushed things forward. So here we are, taking those first steps. Now, it's the first big key tip is to engage with the wider team early. And I sent out a questionnaire and it focused unwittingly on what's called the 4 doors technique. Can do now that you can do later. So that's the first door. Things that you can't do now that you can't do after the change. So sort of like, no. List all the things that you can do now that you can't do after the change. Okay, so the price of change, and list all the things that you can't do now that you can do after the change. So the benefit of this. Now I fleshed it out into a bit more detail, into sort of, again, stuff that you want to keep, stuff that you like, stuff that you don't like. And also, more importantly, how do you want to train? This new system is coming online. I need your help. I need you brought on board. Can you help out? And the other bit is starting to build your team. And I sort of said to people, it's like, I'd be grateful for anyone who's willing to help me out and come on board and be more heavily involved in this, just so that it's not a solo project. It was interesting, some of the results. So the first point that I hadn't even considered, much to my admission, was the timing of this change. Now, if you imagine, I was quite keen just to get this done. Like, right, let's pick a date, let's get it done in December, and let's just get it changed over. And so my team get back to me and said, well, hang on a second. We've had a high amount of staff turnover. We're expecting new staff coming in. We've got QOF that's coming in at the end of April. And that year often corresponds with the financial year. And so there was sort of a couple of clashes there. And I thought, well, hang on a second, I don't mind. So I took our concerns back to the team that wanted us to change over, okay, mainly the computer system, said, look, we want to change, but here are our main concerns. And they came back saying, oh, it's financial, that we want it done within the financial year. And I just thought, that's not really good enough, really. Finances to me can be organised and sorted out, whereas actually my team's concerns, in my mind, and whenever I have any conflict or decision like this, it's like, who am I going to side with? Okay, and I'll always give the people that I work with day in, day out greater weight. And thankfully, we could set a good argument across that actually, these are the reasons we don't want to change, and they agreed. So we turned around and said, look, right, we're happy to change, but we don't want to do it until May. And they said, okay, yep, understood. Go back to them. That whole process ties in with listening being an active process. And so what I've tried to do is maintain that communication to sort of keep up with my team and keep feeding back to them to it. The other interesting part was to do with their sort of the perception of involvement. And I liken this to my toddler. Okay, so my wife pointed this out to me, that when you're trying to get a toddler changed in the morning and they're fighting you, and she just said, just give them a choice of pants. I went, what do you mean? Just give them a choice of pants. I was like, okay, instead of fighting him to pick one pair of pants, just give him a choice, tell him to pick one and to put them on, okay? You don't care what colour they are, you just want to know, know that they're on. And it's changed my mind. Likewise with this. So when people came out with the learning styles, or wherever I could give them the choice, things like how you want to learn. So in my mind, it was either, well, you can either have a booklet that I'm happy to sort of try and organise, videos on how to use the system, or one-to-one tutorials, which, yes, again, take a bit more effort into. And they said, and we got a lovely range of results back. And that listening has already fed back in terms of having multiple people within the practice come back to me and said, look, it's really good that you're getting us involved, and it's one of those, it's a team sport, okay? So I hope you found that useful. That is just the initial, maybe just sort of like undigging the psychology of change. So, the key points to take away is to have a look at the formula and see, just do a rough sort of gauge of the formula there. Using the 4-door principles, ask your team, okay, to start sparking those conversations off. And just remember that listening is an active process. So constantly feed back to them about what's going on, what's happening, what you're updating with. And that's the bit that I'm sort of like in that void at the moment, that we've got a lot of things sorted, but there's still a bit of time there. So I don't want to lose that momentum. Also, if you're near a hospital, they will have a quality improvement cell, an improvement team. Just reach out to them, just ask, be very, I managed to get a sort of, I was with the contract with ours, I just went like, can you help out please? And they bit my hand off. If you want to go a bit more into it, there's a whole load of science and specifics about change and all the psychology behind it, which once I've got access to the PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to sort of rip apart and make a couple more videos, as I found it really, really useful, especially as we're in this, with COVID, we've had to be very adaptable, certainly in primary care. So, Dr. Dave Highmarsh, GP Templates. I hope you found that useful. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any fun content. And any comments for any future videos, please drop a link or drop a comment below. Many thanks. Have a wonderful day.